is fun. I like this. And as you see, I am a bigger man. I will let people come on here and tell me that I lost. It's okay. I will see brighter days. Here we go. We are going to move on. Dave, you want to go into the report cards?
All right. So I was not available last week. Unfortunately, I was stuck at work. But John stepped in, and him and Sean. Sid's waivers first. So Sid tried to peddle you Cam Newton for the second week in a row. It did not work out so well. Wentz was definitely the better pickup. He gave you Wentz and Tyrod Taylor, both serviceable if you really needed somebody, but Wentz definitely had the game. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have 3 turnovers. So, I mean, you can add another 6 points onto that point total if he doesn't screw up. One of them was on Michael Pittman, and Pittman had a chance to extend that play into the end zone. So, just off that one play, you're taking 2 points away from Wentz, and not to mention the yards and the score. So, Wentz definitely balled out. He also gave you Cedric Wilson, which I already kind of shouted him out for. That's a huge pickup to anybody who is paying attention and knows the Cowboys at all. Most people, I think, would have looked at it and gone for Michael Gallup without realizing that Cedric Wilson's been involved in our offense all year, very minimally at times, but knowing that the top 2 guys were out and he would still have one receiver ahead of him to take the heat off, and he had a big game for it. Gronk balled out. And anytime, like Sid told you, if he's out there, just go get him, because Tom loves Gronk.
Yeah.
Tom loves Gronk.
Yeah.
The running backs and the receivers were a little harder. He did give you, Tevin Coleman, who I think going forward is still going to be a solid pick if you're desperate. If you're missing somebody and you are desperate, I think Coleman's going to get his touches. He is sharing touches over there, but Devonta Freeman, that was just an ugly game. Neither team got traction because of how ugly that game was, and I think that Freeman will also be a solid pickup going forward. It was just rough weeks for him this week. So what do you got for us this week, Sid?
We got a ton. When injuries happen, that opens the door for waivers. So there was a lot. Week,
you could pretty much just go back and watch our show all year, and like 6 of the names we've been giving you all year because of these injuries. These guys keep going on and off and on and off of the injury report, and it's crazy. Sorry, go.
No, you're good. Yeah, quarterback, I only got 1 this week. Taysom Hill, just because his legs, I think, are going to make him fantasy relevant. Not that I think he's a good quarterback passing the ball or will ball out that way, but I think his rushing will make him a startable fantasy quarterback. He's the only quarterback I got. There's really – the quarterbacks are the quarterbacks. You should know who they are by now, but that's the one I like this week. As for running backs, there's a ton to choose from, so I just went and highlighted the ones that I think you need to get. Like these aren't guys like think about getting. I think these guys need to be picked up. Alexander Madison is top of my list with Dalvin Cook going down. Looks like he's going on the IR, so Madison is going to be the guy, and he is a good running back. Has starting experience and has balled out in the past, so he can do it. Next up, with CMC going to IR, season ending, Chuba Hubbard. He's going to step in and fill that role. I don't like him as much as Madison because I don't like that offense as much, and he's not CMC. So he's not that Madison is Dalvin Cook, but Madison can fills in nicely for Cook when he's out. So Hubbard's definitely going to be a guy you can start going forward. Jamal Williams with DeAndre Swift's injury definitely need to be picked up because he is a serviceable back going forward. I like what he does when he's given the opportunity. He's really good as well. So those are the top 3. There's more based off injuries, but I just wanted to hit those 3 because I think those are very important. Those are the ones that, if they're out there, don't just think about getting them, get them. Those ones need to be picked up. And then for receivers, I got Van Jefferson for the Rams. I think I hit him a couple weeks ago, but I just wanted to highlight him again. I think he's not Robert Woods, but until Odell can get on the same page as Stafford. Now, watching that game, I was talking to Ash a lot. I think they're trying to force feed Odell, and if they go back and self-scout, they'll realize that they shouldn't have looked his way as many times as they do. They're just not on the same page just yet. So Van Jefferson was getting his looks and he was catching the ball. So I'm hoping Stafford goes back to him more often until him and Odell are on the same page. And then Kadarius Toney, I think I've hit him a couple times as well. He's just been injured, so it's hard to say when he's not there. But he should be healthy this week, and he's I think the most talented receiver on the Giants. So I think they're going to look his way a lot. And then for tight ends, you saw it last night. Logan Thomas is back. He was available in a few leagues, so if you can get him, go get him. Because they didn't count that touchdown, but with that, has a great day. I mean, they target him plenty, and he's talented enough to go do it. So I like him a lot. And then the other tight end that I saw out there, Tyler Conklin. We've talked about him before. He goes on and off. Tight ends are hard to come by. He's not a bad one to start because Cousins likes him, and he's not going to win you any weeks, but he's not going to lose you any weeks either by getting 0. He'll get his looks. So that's everything I got written down.
Nice.
Yeah, those running back, the backups to the running backs that we've been talking about all year. These guys keep getting hurt. You look at the top 10 running backs in the league. Their backups have gotten looks almost all year. I didn't even bother with the top injuries for running back. We kind of touched on it earlier. I am very, very intrigued with Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Breda versus Singletary. By the healthy scratch for Zach Moss, they're sending a message there. I think that these guys are being given the opportunity to really outshine the other person and become that lead back. So Singletary had 15 carries for 44 yards. Breda had 9 carries for 26 yards. Exact same gains.
Mm-hmm.
3 yards per for both. Breda got the touchdown through the air, though, and that was the difference in the scoring. I'm interested to see how that plays out. Now, Singletary's owned in 56% of leagues, so going to get him is going to be tough. He was actually available in one of my leagues. Breda's owned in 5.6, and he's the one who got he had two targets through the air for 29 yards and 1 score. Mm-hmm. Singletary got 1 look for 4 yards. If you're running a PPR, I would definitely be interested in seeing if Breda can take over that top spot going forward. My quarterback, I looked at Taysom Hill, and a lot of these pickups right now, I'm starting to look more and more and make these decisions based on the playoffs, their playoff schedule. I did not like Taysom Hill going against Tampa Bay, Miami, and Carolina. For a running quarterback, those 3 defenses are going to give him problems.
Right.
Wentz is going to be facing the Patriots, the Cardinals, and the Raiders in the playoffs. Now, both of those guys have favorable matchups this week, with Taysom Hill going against Dallas, who just seems lost right now, and Wentz going against Houston. So for the next week or 2 in your regular season, I like both of those guys, but definitely sell come playoff time. Don't rely on them for the rest of the year. My guy going into the playoffs, if you need a quarterback, Jimmy G. He plays Seattle and Cincinnati over the next 2 weeks, and his playoff schedule is going to be Atlanta, Tennessee, and Houston. And the Niners run the ball. They run the ball very well, but that team as a whole is starting to look a lot better. Like I said, I don't love any of these guys for both the regular season and the playoffs, but there you go. You got a couple guys for regular season and at least one decent option for the playoffs. Jimmy G's owned in 15.9% of leagues. Taysom Hill 2.3, and Wentz is at 44. So he's going to be the hardest one to get. Wide receivers. These guys, not the big names. I completely – my list is very similar to Sid's. I very much agree with Van Jefferson, Darius Toney. If they're there, I'll take those guys first, but I already knew Sid was going to say that. So the guys that are kind of intriguing to me right now is Desean Jackson, who's going to be facing Washington football team and Kansas City over the next 2 weeks. I did not love his playoff schedule. I didn't write it down because I didn't love it, so you can go make your own decision. But the way he torched the Cowboys, Desean Jackson spent his entire career just about in the NFC East. And he's going to be playing the Washington football team this week after Dallas. And it's Derek Carr. Derek Carr can get the ball to his receivers. And then Kansas City has been so up and down defensively. They seem to have gotten that thing on track, but it's Kansas City. And then Traquan Smith going against Dallas, and then he'll be facing the Jets. He's owned in 7.5% of leagues. And with Taysom Hill coming in, it's not an upgrade to the passing game over Trevor Siemian. However, I do think Taysom Hill gives them more opportunities to score points.
Right.
I think Taysom Hill will extend plays, and Traquan could end up with a red zone look because of it. It's a long shot, but Dallas' defense, we give up big plays.
Right.
We get turnovers, but we give up big plays. And if you're desperate, he's available in just about every league out there, and worth the gamble. So that's what I got for you.
I can dig it. And
I do got one more thing about waiver wire though, going forward. Since we're getting it,
I'm gonna bring in Dalton.
Dalton. Okay.
Yeah.
My man.
What up, man?
With the playoffs coming soon, and all the injuries, what you really should do is go look at your specific team and go get the backup running back if available for whoever you have. There's players on your bench that you've had all year that you're not going to start anymore. Going forward, you know who they are, but you keep them around because they could start. You don't need those guys anymore. Go into the playoffs, get the backups to your guys. Like, that's a super good strategy to have. Look at their playoff schedule, who you want. Get the backups to your guys, because players like Laviska Shenault, who you've had on your team, Corey Davis, who you had on your team, but you never start because like they're names that could go off and like have a good week, so you want them, but like you're never going to start them. You don't need those guys anymore. You don't need 3 quarterbacks. Look who you want for the rest of the next 4 or 5 weeks, because that's the rest of the season. And drop everybody else. Get the backups to who you guys have starting. That way, if somebody goes down, you're not scrambling when it comes down to it. So that's my last bit of advice for waiver wire.
I can dig it. And Dalton, you've been in the background watching, listening. Do you have anybody outside of what they've talked about on the waiver wire?
Outside of those guys, no. I mean, we're coming down to it. Find your backup running backs. Try to have just in case the injury does come up. And then, like Sid said, Logan Thomas for a tight end. And then I like Derek Carr and then Desean Jackson if you need somebody to fill a spot, especially this weekend since they are up against Washington.
Yeah, very true. Very true. All right, we will move on. Brought Dalton back in here to help us